Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for what it's like to lead at SWE Orange County. My name is Morgan Zandinella, and I'm the current FY22 section president. And I'm joined here today by a number of other SWE Orange County officers, and we'll be sharing our experiences and motivations for being part of SWE, and also what makes it fun and meaningful in the hopes that you'll be interested in joining the SWE-OC leadership team as well. So before we get into the details, a couple of notes. First, as I mentioned, this session is being recorded and it'll be made available after this event for others interested in SWE-OC leadership. And second, we want to answer your questions. So if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to type them into the chat. Laura is going to help moderate that for us today, and we'll try to answer them as we go. However, we'll also have time at the end of this session for more questions and more discussion. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our officer team and introduce themselves as well. So I'll start and then ask each of the officers to do their brief introductions. So hi, like I said, Morgan Zandinella, FY22 president. And I also formerly served as our outreach chair last year. And next on the list is Martha Barhouse. She wasn't able to join us today, but she is serving as FY22 treasurer and previously served as the corporate relations chair.
Next up is me. I'm Jolene. I'm currently the internal vice president for this year, but I served as vice president before it was actually delineated as an internal external, so both, back in 2016.
Hello, my name is Laura Rojden. I am the current nominating chair as well as the website chair, and I've also been a collegiate counselor.
I am Sophia. I'm secretary this year. Last year I was helping with scholarships and certificate of merit program, which is really fun. And nice to meet you all. Thanks, Madeline, for joining too. She was one of our scholarship recipients.
Awesome.
Awesome. And I'm Natalie White. I'm the current scholarship and corporate relations chair. I was internal vice president and president in past years. And so, yeah, now I'm just doing scholarships and corporate relations.
Awesome. And then I also want to give a chance for Cynthia. Would you like to introduce yourself? I think we missed your headshot on this one.
Okay, sure. Hello, my name is Cynthia Hernandez, and I work with the collegiate relationship chair.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. So next, I just want to give a high-level overview of our organization. So this organizational chart shows all the officer and chair positions as described in our officer manual, and that's the one posted on the SWE Orange County website. Specific details about each position are in that officer manual, but today's session, we're going to be focusing more on the human side of things, adding some personality and context to each of these roles as we describe them. So we're going to kind of start top down. So starting with president, really, this has been my first year doing it, and it's been a fabulous way to meet and connect with a lot of different members, and then also with other organizations in our community, and helping our section leaders, right, everyone here, to have wonderful events, everything from outreach to professional development, and making sure that we're operating effectively. And a big part of that is things that I'm learning around like leadership and strategy, and how we, foster that community within our SWE officers, but also how to engage with other members. And so the monthly time commitment that I have listed here on this slide, like 8 to 15 hours, it varies month to month depending on the events and also how many officers we have. So this year we've had a few vacancies, and so trying to step in where I can to help support some of our programming there as well for our members. And one of the more recent ones that we had is our urban workshop tours. That's the photo there. It's a big maker space. So I've really enjoyed that and having a chance to, provide some of that for our members. Another thing for president is a lot of interface with our society as a whole. So, SWE, like our national leadership, and that comes into terms of also with our finances and making sure that our section is in good standing. So I've learned a lot about that and making sure that, kind of how we run a nonprofit and filing taxes and all that kind of good stuff. I don't know, Natalie, if you have anything you want to add as former SWE-OC president.
Yeah, I think that when we start talking about the role of president, a lot of people get a little bit worried because it's a big title. I think it's actually a great mechanism for you to gain leadership skills that you may not get as an individual contributor, especially around influencing people and kind of driving people to have results. And really the collaboration and the team that you have around you is really important because sometimes you almost feel like a glorified secretary, like organizing everyone and delegating to everyone, but you also feel a lot of ownership and accountability around what the section does for the year, since you're president for the fiscal year of the section. But you get to collaborate and choose and prioritize what the team wants to commit to for the year, whether that's the events that we put on or the engagement that we want to have for external organizations. And so it's a really great opportunity, like Morgan said, to connect with everyone. So don't be afraid of the title. I think Morgan's going to hang on to it for one more year. I did it for 2 years straight as well. But just consider it as a part of, your potential future roadmap of roles in SWE leadership positions. It's a really, really fun way to be involved and to also get some visibility at the society level as well.
Oh, for sure. I can speak to or echo all of that, Natalie. I love it. So next I want to cover the treasurer. And so as I mentioned before, Martha is our treasurer for this year. And me as president work very closely together. And that's to create and manage the budget. Specifically, Martha helps create and manage that budget. And we do that in a way to align with our section goals. And that's very much a fiduciary responsibility. Because all of the membership dues that come to our section, to make sure that we're giving back in a way that aligns with our mission and our values as an organization. Another pivotal part is maintaining our section in good standing. As I mentioned before, this involves both collaboration with our national SWE organization, and then also with filing taxes and things like that. Treasurer also oversees corporate relations and fundraising chair. And this is really vital for our section because both of these roles feeding up into the treasurer is what allows us to finance our section. So in addition to our membership dues, a large portion of our operating budget comes from corporate donations. And so being able to raise those funds to sponsor not only our events, so for professional development or for social type things, which we'll get into later in the presentation, but also for the scholarships that we award each year. So very important to being able to run really high quality programs for everything, professional and outreach related. And then from a more tactical standpoint, the treasurer also helps with all the reimbursement. So as different section leaders put on events, to make sure that they're reimbursed for those costs as well. And we estimate that monthly time around 3 to 4 hours. Primarily that's, we have a monthly meeting for all of our officers and our monthly planning meeting. And then it may involve, at the beginning of the year, kind of setting up and creating that budget, maybe a little bit more time, or if you have to do more reimbursements for some types of events. But on average, that's about what we're estimating. All right, Laura.
Hello again. So as nominating chair, my roles main functions are to run the officer elections in the spring, as well as help the section fill out the chair and other volunteer positions as shown on the org chart earlier. When I first joined SWE back in 2018, the president at the time suggested this role for me as a way to get involved in this section as a new member. And I found it was a wonderful opportunity to meet all the current and new members. So currently we are gathering the interest from the members who want to run for an officer position. And I see several names on the list here today that I've seen on our list. So thank you very much for joining us today. So today is just like a process, is part of this process, and is something that new we are doing this year to provide information to you and before you commit to running for an officer role. So if after this session you want to run for an officer, please click on the link on the officer or the interest form, and I put the link to our homepage in the chat so that you could take a look at it there. And an important date is I'll be close the interest form on April 26th at 9 p.m. So after this date, we will still accept petitions for members that want to be considered to run for an officer position, and the petition process will be outlined on the homepage as well. And then we will hold our elections from May 12th to June 2nd, and the officers will be recognized at our end of the year banquet on June 17th. So thank you. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free also to email me, or if we don't answer your questions during the info session today. So thank you.
Very good. This is just a summary for the secretary position, primarily helping with meeting minutes and the SWE-OC you probably see on the emails. But one of a couple of things I really enjoy are like learning the tools, because there's MailChimp and Canva that we use for the graphics, MailChimp for tracking the statistics, and then sending out the emails is a lot of, it's neat for me. But by far the biggest thing I really enjoy about being secretary is from going to the regular monthly planning meetings, just making friends and having a nice support network. Everybody here is really nice. And you know, it's a safe place to learn things, because initially when you don't, they're really good about helping you and giving you tips. So monthly time, for me, it takes about 4 to 8 hours, but 8 hours more on the beginning side, learning the tools. But like Natalie said, it's also how much time you want to put in. So it's really, you could make it, if you don't have that much time, you could do it less. Sometimes I'm just playing around with the graphics and finding something that's nice. But it's fun to be able to connect with like the information from our section with our members through this weekly. We have, I think, over 600 people that the emails go to. And you get, some of the time also includes attending the planning meetings. So, and then just asking by email for like people to put in blurbs and pictures. Thank you.
Hello, it's Laura again. I'm also the website chair, which I felt was a good role to complement the nominating chair roles, because I'm updating the website a lot with the information about the updating the org chart and information about the elections. So one important thing is there's no website coding required. I had no background in website design before I became website chair, and I found it was quite easy to update the website, and it allowed me to learn new skills. And our website is a very important resource for our current members, and as well as those that are interested in joining our sections. So it's important for me to make sure I kept it updated every week. And Sophia did such an amazing job on our weekly newsletter that I would just basically copy and paste all the information there and to update our website. So it made it very easy to keep it updated. And so yeah, so we're considering updating our website next year to make it a little bit more mobile friendly. So hopefully that will happen. And and my website chair role will be open. So if anybody's interested in it, please let us know. Thank you.
Next up, we've got external vice president. Our actual current external vice president is here with us today, so I'll ask her to share a little bit of information about the joy that she's facing. But just having done the role before, I brainstormed a few bullet points of actually why it meant so much to me during the time. I think external VP is such a great opportunity for people to interface with outside organizations and companies and really get to know the society around you with regards to being a female professional. And then also you can get a really good understanding of the professional development needs across many industries because you have an excuse to talk to multiple people from many industries. And then you can provide and participate in a lot of networking opportunities. And because you are providing these opportunities, you kind of are the center of the storm. So you've got a lot more resourcing in terms of that if you are interested in networking. I put the time commitment at about 8 to 10 hours a month. So that constitutes that would be emails and interacting with people, chatting with other societies, reaching out to companies. But realistically, it's also helping the chairs. They oversee the professional development conference chair and the programs chair and the external organizations and diversity chair. So those kind of are your three, quote, direct reports in this chain of command. And then also the other part of the 8 to 10 hours would be attending any events that we might be putting on, and also attending the monthly planning meeting that we've got. I think it's a really powerful role because you have the ability to learn power through influence rather than positional. And it's a really, really great safe role to learn how to motivate people both intrinsically and potentially with other types of motivation as well. Cindy, do you happen to have anything you'd like to add? Nope. Well, if you do think of anything, feel free to drop it into chat. From there, we're going to move on to the Professional Development Conference Chair. I put this one at a yearly time of 40 hours, and it'll make sense when I explain it a little bit more. So the job of the PDC, Professional Development Conference Chair, is to plan the annual Professional Development Conference. So that's about usually the April timeframe is historically when we've done it, and we target anywhere from 50 to 100 members, some online, some in person. Previous years when it was in a pandemic, we've had it fully in person, but that would come down to coordinating a venue and a theme and getting speakers and networking and figuring out catering. So in terms of this role, it will be slower to start, probably won't get started on it realistically until the spring or spring timeframe. Since it's out in April, it's practically impossible. It's not a wedding, so you're not booking a venue a year in advance. You try to book it a little bit closer to that timeframe, getting speakers and coordinating dry runs, answering any questions. And it's a really good opportunity to learn meticulous, conscientious event planning skills with a big support system behind you, because basically what you get to do is look at running a full event with all of the crazy things that can happen with it and really parse out like, okay, I've got 3 vegetarians coming to this event. Realistically, there are going to be 15 vegetarians coming to this event. How do I make sure that they're people? Some people will take a veggie meal, so how do I set them out on time? Those are all experiences that we've had before. And love to share with each other and let each other know the tips and tricks of how to plan an event at this large scale. So it's definitely a great opportunity. And since it's a yearly time commitment, thinking it'll set at about 40 hours, that's a pretty generous one in terms of calling the vendors and sending out for people to put quotes and bids to your budget, setting the budget. Did we have a question? No. Okay, well, feel free to drop your questions into chat if you do have one. But this is a really fun position. And then from there, yeah, you read my mind, Morgan. Move on to programs chair. So programs chair is very similar to the professional development conference, but instead of planning one big event, you're planning actually multiple small events. So usually our professional development events happen maybe once every other month type situation. And It'll be an hour or two where you get together, put on a wine and webinar, or bring in people to speak about something that the industry seems to be interested in. It's just really professional development. You get to network with a lot of corporations and other individuals to see what they're interested in learning, and then you can kind of pull resources and help each other that way. Similar story, it's the 3 to 5 hours I've listed here, and that includes attending the meetings, but then also attending our monthly planning meeting, and then emailing and putting on events. And then the programs, sure, it's kind of cool too, because the national level of SWE, so the society level, they actually have a full webinar library of all these wonderful professional development resources. So that one's fun because you get to really crawl through all of the resources and find your favorite ones and then put them in front of people and have some sort of discussion with that. It's really fulfilling to see people grow up through that. Additionally, I've had a couple people come back and say like, hey, you put on this random wine and webinar for how to have a difficult conversation with your manager. And I had it with my manager. So I went and implemented what the feedback was during that session, and it went well. I've actually had that kind of offline conversation saying that we've been able to empower some people through the society. So it is really fulfilling to watch people come back and grow in their careers and learn to help other people too along the way. It's a really fun position. Okay, and then from there, we've got our external organizations and diversity chair. So this one's also really fun if you are involved in maybe multiple societies in the Orange County area. You can team up with other local nonprofits and plan joint events. So we previously partnered with SHEP and ASCE out here, but it's pretty fun because you get to also continuously network across industries, and it's really, it really easily slots into if you are in multiple societies. It's very convenient because you're like, well, I could just make both my circles of friends attend the same event, and then we kill two birds with one stone. Kind of really do like leveraging our local other nonprofits as well, so that we can kind of grow together. Same monthly time commitment of 3 to 5 hours. That is attending the planning meeting, emailing people, attending any events that you might be planning, things like that. Then from there, I'm moving on to the internal vice president. So this starts another stack within our org chart that we were talking about. Internal vice president is what I'm serving as this year. And I do think it's a very safe space to plan events because you get to learn how to communicate with vendors and have that infrastructure already set up. But then you also can help other people grow and facilitate other opportunities to connect so that people can really form some lifelong friends. As the internal vice president, you oversee the socials chair, the end of banquet chair, and then also the awards and recognitions chair, I think. So yeah, it is a really, really safe space for you to empower other people and also learn those influencing through influence and not quite actual line of command power, which becomes extremely powerful if you ever are interested in like project management or something like that. Learning how to motivate people with their intrinsic motivators is such a powerful skill. It's something that I learned my first round at SWE and has helped me literally launch my career pivot from I was a mainframe developer to begin with, but I was able to pivot that into like a project management role, which is now what I do for a full-time thing. I do requirements management and project management. So yeah, that's kind of what I do now, but it's all because of these kinds of positions. So it's a really good opportunity to learn how to support your peers within SWE-OC. How do the chairs and the external VP interact? So the 3 chairs that fall under the external VP are the professional development conference chair, PDC chair, the programs chair, and the external organizations and diversity chair. We all go to the same planning meeting. So you can kind of hang out with all of us there. Literally all of the chairs and all of the board go to the same planning meeting. So we'll definitely have our own meeting to get to know each other and talk to each other, but we also have Slack and things like that. So it is somewhat of a loosely reporting structure, but realistically the vice presidents serve as like a servant leader almost to the chair. So the chairs will set the goals, and then the vice president's like, okay, where do you need help? How can I help you make that happen? Yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Let me know if there are any other questions too. Yeah, the socials chair is the next one up. It reports into the internal vice president. So similarly, it will be the person that's setting up all the social. So you get to plan get-togethers if you're a little bit of a party animal and you like your wine. This is the chair for you. But it's such a great way to cultivate some really lifelong friendships and relationships. And it's kind of nice to see all of these people grow up together and really get to know each other through the years. When I first started at SWE-OC, I just got out of college, I wasn't married yet, and these peers of women in this group has literally seen me purchase a house, get a dog, get married, get another job, get another job, get another job, and then come back to SWE. And it's so nice because now you have your group, your squad of people who know your struggle. And it's nice just to get together socials and get to know each other and hang out and complain and get really comfortable being yourself with each other. So definitely one for you if you do like facilitating that kind of thing. It doesn't have to be hosted at your house per se. You don't have to have a venue. We can do things outside of your house too. But it is a really good opportunity to facilitate some lifelong friends. Similar 3 to 5 hours, that's emailing, attending the planning meeting, talking to each other, responding to Slack kind of situation, attending the socials that you are planning to. Okay, from there, we're going on to the end of year banquet chair. So, Natalie.
Yep, that's me. So I kind of took this one, I guess this wasn't on the intro slide, but as a part of being the scholarship and certificate of merit chair, I went ahead and decided I was going to help plan the end of year banquet. So as you can see, yearly time 20 hours, similar to the PDC. All of the planning is happening right now. More talking to vendors, making sure that we have everything in line. Really, the end of year banquet's purpose is to celebrate with our fellow SWE Orange County members, honor our Certificate of Merit Awards, who are the high schoolers who have been nominated by their teachers. Our scholarship recipients, there's 7 of them. So we have 3 undergraduate scholarships, 3 graduate level scholarships, and then 1 endowed scholarship that is targeted toward graduating high school seniors who are pursuing a STEM degree here in Orange County. And so 7 of those scholarship recipients get honored at our end of year banquet. And then of course, any friends and family of those award recipients who would also like to attend and celebrate those recipients as well. So in general, it's, pre-pandemic, it's been like between 50 and 100 people, but it's been virtual the past 2 years. And so we're really excited to have an in-person banquet this year. It will be at an outside venue to try and accommodate for people who might be a little bit more conservative with the pandemic or have pre-existing conditions. Really, it's the start of our summer break. So we're not really in session during the summer. So we take a long break during the summer. We kind of go along with the school years. And so the end of year banquet is kind of wrapping up our fiscal year, honoring our new SWE-OC officers as well as a part of that celebration. And so making sure that we find a venue, have a caterer, and that all of that organization around getting award recipients to actually attend, all of that is on the end of year banquet chair. And so quick plug for that, if you'll go to the next slide. Here's the QR code where you can register for that on Eventbrite. So we would love for you to join us, even if you're not a SWE-OC member. If you want to come meet some of us in an informal social setting, it's going to be Friday, June 17th. Like I said, it's going to be outside at the Aliso Viejo Ranch, and it will be catered. So make sure you fill out that Eventbrite form to specify your food preference and RSVP by June 7th, because we have to give a good number for the caterers. So make sure that you RSVP, hopefully today. But if not, at a later date by June 7th, so that we can make sure that everything's going to be great. All right. And if you missed that, I'll have that slide at the end as well. The awards and member recognition chair, again, everything is awarded at the end of the year banquet. What we're really doing is making sure to solicit nominations from the board of directors and member of awards, creating those certificates on behalf of the SWE-OC board, and then contacting vendors to create those awards. This is also to help nominate SWE members for additional awards or other awards from other societies. Am I taking somebody else's slide? What we're really doing for awards is making sure that our members are recognized for their work, both within SWE and within whatever industry they're in, or whatever field of engineering they're in. And we also work with society level members to submit society level awards in addition to external awards that our members may be eligible for. So a lot of times people don't want to submit themselves for awards, but having somebody to advocate for them or someone to help them with the awards packet process can be a real advantage to being a part of a local SWE section.
Yes, no shame there. If you want to nominate yourself for an award, we will help you.
Nominate yourself. All right. Cynthia is going to do collegiate relations and outreach.
Yes, hello. Sorry for any background noise. So here we're really going to be talking about outreach, not only in K-12. So this is really the Girl Scouts events, the schools, but also nonprofits. So if you want to be a judge, that's also really beneficial. But also acting as a liaison specifically for the collegiate relationship chairs. So we have a section about 5 active collegiate sections through local universities. So each one of these has their specific leadership board that we aim to bring together. So on the top picture to your right, we could really see a screenshot of one of our virtual trainings. So we have one in the fall, one in the spring, and those do take a little bit more time. So that's why in the monthly time frame, we do have 5 to 8 hours. But this really decreases during the year when we do not have those fall and spring trainings to plan for. But it is a really great opportunity to really inspire and talk to the local college students and also the local K-12 students as well that are that really younger generation looking to get into STEM, right? So it's really beneficial as well as for them to really interact with themselves and have that community within themselves, not only their college, but also the section as a whole, and then us as a whole, to that way to like get them on board with the society as a whole. So that was a lot of the holes. Sorry about that. Just trying to get the bigger picture. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Oh.
Awesome. Thank you, Cynthia. And I just want to add, as far as like being former outreach chair, I'm still, I still love this. And I just want to highlight that first robotics picture at the bottom. This is one of our recent outreach events. And what's been really cool is how we've gotten creative with, and a lot of organizations have gotten creative with outreach, even though it's virtual, which has been fun. And collaboration. So even though we were collaborating with First Robotics, you'll see Jolene there in that picture, representing our professional society, and also the president of SWE-UCI, and another student who, Jolene, who has started a SWE Next, which is a high school chapter. So from outreach, we're really looking at, like Cynthia said, connecting all the way from, you know, very early kindergarten type all the way up to collegiate. And so there's, and Natalie White on the call with us too has been doing, started a new partnership with Girl Scouts to help fund outreach events for them at the makerspace, at a coding school. And it's really all about engaging that next generation of women engineers that we all hope to work with one day. All right. And from there, part of that outreach, Natalie, I'll pass it back to you, is regarding scholarships.
Yeah, so in the context of the end of year banquet, how we get applicants for the scholarship and certificate of merit awards is through a framework that's built by Kaleidoscope. So they're a cloud-based vendor who has an award and scholarship platform. And so we've onboarded with them to help alleviate some of the operational overhead of trying to run it all from email in past years. So this is the second year that we've partnered with them. They've been really awesome as a hosting partner, and they have a great framework for looking through and evaluating those and scoring those. Basically, we get a lot of submissions, and we have multiple people who will go through those submissions and score them, and kind of at the end of that, we'll debrief, and in general, the highest scores will win. So a part of that is driving applicants. So it's not obvious that we have scholarships available all of the time. I mean, they're listed on our website, but if we don't publicize them, in general, our submission rate gets lower and lower because people are not aware of it. And so this year I've made a specific push to connect with local educators. So I actually scraped the websites of all of the local high schools and sent emails to them. I'm a software developer, so I started finding creative ways to find contact information for the local educators who would be the submission people, the people who would submit and nominate their amazing young women who have excellence in STEM from their students for the Certificate of Merit Award. And then I scraped the websites of all of the professors at our local universities to grab their email addresses and build contact lists for them as well, and sent targeted emails to say, hey, we have these scholarships. Please pass them along to your eligible students so that they can, more easily fund their education, so we can support them. And so we've seen, a good number of submissions come through. Submissions aren't quite closed, so if you are a college student, or you know a college student, or you'd like to apply for that scholarship, please use the QR code there on the slide. I've been trying to post it all over LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, like all of the groups that we have, but it's really difficult to kind of get the word out. So feel free to propagate that far and wide, because the deadline is approaching next week. You also will work in partnership with Corporate Relations Chair to drive additional funding for these scholarships. So part of requesting funding is being able to talk about the work that we do in the community, both supporting our collegiates and also through that K through 12 STEM outreach Morgan was talking about. So being able to tell that story can help drive businesses to be willing to support our local section. And that will help us drive even more results for the people that we support in our community. So it's a really fun role. It really doesn't take very much time. I don't have a time estimate here. It really is just a lot of emailing and then working with Kaleidoscope to make sure that those application pages are up and running and have the right descriptions. But it is a lot of fun to kind of see the results as the scholarship and award recipients who are very thankful for our support. All right, last chance to get the end of the year banquet QR code as well. If you would like to attend the end of year banquet, please RSVP as soon as possible. We would really love to meet you in person, talk to you more about SWE, and be able to connect with you on a personal and professional level.
So I'm going to leave that up here for a few seconds so you can grab that QR code, and then we'll go to our closing slide that has our website link and the email for more questions if you have any. But I just want to close this out by saying thank you to all of our officers here today who created these slides and shared their stories about serving in all of these officer positions. This section does so much for our Orange County professionals, and I'm so lucky that we've been able to work together this year to promote SWE and our mission of empowering women engineers. With that, I would like to open this up for any questions. So feel free to drop them into chat and we can answer that way. Or you can feel free to come off of mute and ask your question live. Cindy, did you have a question? Oh, no.
I had a question. So I was wondering, are there any volunteer opportunities that we can go to, as far as when you guys put together events? Is there when you guys need members to come out? Are there any upcoming events that we can actually show our face to and help you guys out with anything?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for that question. That's a great one. The big answer is yes. So there's a couple of ways that you can find out, and other officers feel free to plug in. But one is the SWE-OC that Sophia mentioned. And there's a way to register for that on our website. So let me jump over one page here. The SWE-OC website. We have a way that you can register for this weekly email that Sophia sends out, or our secretary sends out. And then that'll show which events we have coming. Another way is to actually attend one of our planning meetings. So all of our planning meetings are open to everyone. So you're welcome to drop in there, see what we're up to, see what events are interesting, or if you have ideas to share how you want to volunteer, that's a great way to do it too. Oh, thanks. And Laura dropped the direct link to the chat there for signing up for this weekly.
Yeah, it's also under the events tab.
Yes. And then the other way under the tab as well is there's a calendar. And on the calendar page, that's where we post all of our upcoming events, which we primarily run through Eventbrite. So anytime you see an event there, there'll be a link to our Eventbrite where you can register to get links or location information for where we'll be having events.
And some things that aren't on the calendar are those events that are actually going to be held throughout the summer in partnership with Girl Scouts. So essentially what we've done is we had quite a lot of corporate funding this year that we do not have the active membership to support the actual delivery of the STEM K-12 STEM content. And so we're partnering with the Girl Scouts to find girls to attend events, right? So they have a robust marketing framework to find Girl Scouts who are interested in STEM content, and then partnering with local vendors like the Urban Workshop and the Coder School to fulfill badge requirements for different levels of those Scouts. And so because we have that corporate funding, all of that will be free for the Scouts who are attending. And so basically that part of our part of that framework is that we get to show up and just be the face of the future for those budding new engineers and be able to talk about what it's like to be an actual engineer. So if you want to be a part of that, definitely attend one of our upcoming planning meetings, or if you like, I can add you to the Slack channel and we can, I'll be coordinating those as they get on the calendar from the Girl Scouts because they have to kind of market those ahead of time. And so we'll have those dates coming up, but they won't be on Eventbrite because they're not something that we're going to have people register for. So those are some things that aren't on the calendar, just for context.
Yeah, thanks for that, Natalie. Yeah, and thanks for the question. That was a great one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions or thoughts? Oh, I've got one in the chat. Thank you for the presentation. How do the collegiate counselors interact with SWE officers and the collegiate relations chair? So Cynthia, I'll hand that one to you.
Okay, sounds good. So essentially, the collegiate counselors are really going to be interacting directly with the collegiates themselves. So if you go on our website, we do have a specific section for the collegiate sections as well as who their counselors are. And essentially, the point of that is really for the counselors to act as a liaison between the sections, like the collegiate sections and us. But I do ask for help sometimes when it comes to the collegiate trainings. So the fall and the spring trainings, if somebody doesn't want to exactly lead those and become the counselor, the collegiate relationship chair, they could always help out with kind of like mini breakout rooms in the virtual sessions of those to talk to their collegiate sections and really like be a point of contact for any advice that the collegiates are having issues with and share their own experiences. Sometimes they are typically alumni, but you don't necessarily have to be one. And that really helps as like a stepping stone to interact more with collegiates, but also see more about the leadership training aspect of it. I hope that answers your question. Feel free to ask me anything else.
Thanks, Cynthia. All right, any other questions? All right. Are there any other closing thoughts from our officers? Anything anyone wants to add in here before we close out?
Yeah, I've got one. So we spent a lot of time today telling everybody what joining the SWE board is, but I did want to leave you with a little bit of more of a personal touch on the why I joined the SWE board and why realistically a lot of us joined the SWE board. If you're anything like probably a fairly typical female engineer, it's all about work all the time because you have to be the best in your field to get acknowledged. And for me, it was really weighing heavily on my mental health. And I got some advice from somebody at work. She's actually my skip level, like she's a senior director at work. And she told me, girl, you got to diversify. And I'm like, what does that mean? And basically what it boiled down to is all of my self-esteem, my confidence, all of my eggs were in the basket of work, right? So if somebody was mean to me at work, or something doesn't go as I planned, or something happened, somebody was short, somebody's having a bad day, my entire life was revolving around work, and I was becoming my workplace person. So then I, kind of came back to SWE and realized like I'm a whole person outside of SWE. I've got a whole group of friends outside of work that really give more texture to my identity. And it's really helped my mental health a lot since I've diversified my little life in the world of engineering. So if that resonates with any of you, seriously, just join. We will not let you fail. Literally, it's not something that we'll let you do. So don't be afraid. It's definitely something you can do. And hopefully you'll be able to diversify a little bit of your life too. And then we'll be able to start our journeys together. So yeah, hopefully, yes.
Thank you, Jolene. I feel the same. I was nervous about being president this year, and I can say wholeheartedly that it's thanks to all of your guys' support. And yeah, it's good. It's been so much fun. So I hope everyone on this call, if not for an officer or a chair position, although I really hope you consider it, definitely submit your interest. But if nothing else, we hope to see you at the banquet or any of our upcoming events or planning meetings or outreach events. There's so many opportunities to be involved, and we just wanted to share that with you because we get so much from being a part of this organization. And so we hope you'll join us. With that, I'm going to head and stop the recording. I'll stay on a little bit.